Alright guys, in today's video I'm going to be showing you what you need to get started reloading, just the tools and components that you're going to find that you need to get started into it. This is kind of meant for beginners, just showing you a few things, showing you what they're going to do, and then there'll be more videos to come of how the process goes and actually how to do it. Okay guys, so the first thing you're going to need before anything else when it comes to reloading is you're going to need a space to do it. Reloading takes up a lot of space. You can use shops, garages, spare bedrooms, whatever, but the more space the better when it comes to reloading space. Next thing you're going to need is a way to clean your brass. Now this is a media tumbler, so you'll just get a jug of, this is walnut shell media like that. You'll pour it in here, you'll throw your brass in, this will vibrate, and you let it run for about 3 hours to get your brass nice and shiny and clean and ready to reload. Next on the list is a press. Your reloading press is where all your main operations for reloading are going to take place. With this press, you'll resize your shells, you'll seat your bullets, you could even prime on this. I recommend a single stage press for just starting out, or for experienced reloaders, real simple operation. Your die, which we'll go over later, screws in the top, one pull of the ram does one operation. This press is a Rock Chucker Supreme by RCBS. They're good presses. Some other presses that are a little cheaper, you can get Lee Hornady single stage. They won't run you as much. This one here costs about $200. Next thing you're going to need is a set of reloading dies. Several different companies will make these. This is an RCBS set, full length die set, and they usually come in 2 die sets. You'll have one resizing die. You know it's a resizing die because it has the depriming pin sticking out of the bottom. And then next would be your crimping and seating die, and basically this 2 die set will do all the operations you're going to need. You have to get a die set for every cartridge you want to reload. So this is 6.5 Creedmoor. If you were doing 223, 30-06, 300, you'll need a different die set for each cartridge. Alright guys, I wanted to touch on this a bit. Along with your dies I showed you, you're going to need a shell holder. Now these are cartridge specific. Some of them will do multiple different cartridges. Basically this just snaps in. It'll snap into your trimmer sometimes, your press, or your priming tool. And you know, every press is going to have its own. Some of them are universal, but I would recommend buying the shell holders designed for the press that you have. Next thing you're going to need eventually is a trimmer. You probably won't need it right away, but after you get a couple reloads on the same brass, the brass is going to stretch. So you're going to have to trim the neck down so it'll chamber properly in your rifle. I just use a hand crank one. They make ones caliber specific, so they'd be individual. You put them in a drill, do it that way. There's also electric trimmers. Like I said, you won't need this right away, but eventually you will. Next thing you're going to need is some sort of chamfer deburring tool, primer pocket cleaner, neck brush, primer pocket reamer if you're shooting military crimp brass. I use this little electric case prep center here because I reload a lot of 223. They also make the hand tools. Will come with like a screwdriver handle for each operation. That's fine too, you know, it's kind of to preference there. Now that all your case prep was done, you're going to need to prime your sized brass. So this is a hand priming tool. Basically you fill the tray full of primers. You get your shell holder for whatever cartridge you're shooting, and you slide them in one primer at a time. Always point this away from your face. There's lots of different priming options. There's bench mounted ones. Like I said, there's on press priming. I like this hand primer the best, and with this you can pretty much prime your brass anywhere. Next thing you're going to need, this is just cheap, simple. It's just a shell holder tray. This will fit several different cartridges, and then it's got a back for other cartridges. You can get them for like 12 bucks. I recommend you get one. You can use like these that come out of a box of factory shells. They're just really close together and kind of a pain when you're putting in powder, so I recommend you buy a universal tray. Next thing you're gonna need eventually, or gonna want eventually, but you don't necessarily need to get started. This is a powder drop. So basically with this, you can adjust your screw here for how much powder you want it to drop, and they're fairly accurate. And then every time you want to drop a charge, slide that up, back down, it drop your charge. This isn't absolutely necessary to start, but if you start reloading a lot, you're going to want to get one of these. Next thing you're going to need is a powder scale. You want a scale that measures grains, not just grams. This is an example of a mechanical one. This is an example of a digital one. And you know, they both work good. I recommend having two running. I always keep two running on my bench so I can double check each charge. And you can pick them up pretty cheap, anywhere from $20 to $50. You know, the more you spend, the better quality they're probably going to be. The next thing you're gonna have to have this. It's a powder trickler. This will let you make real precise powder drops adjustments. So typically what you do is you dump your powder charge that's probably 0.2 grains off roughly. You would then weigh it, and then you'd bring your powder trickler over and you just turn this until you got the exact weight you wanted. You're going to have this regardless if you have a powder drop or not. Even if you're just scooping the powder in with a little scoop by hand, you're going to need this. It's way too hard to get it accurate without this. Next thing you're going to need is just a little universal powder funnel. This is how you're going to get your powder into your brass. Run you a few bucks, $3-4, wherever you get your reloading supplies. And you'll also need a powder scoop such as this. You get them in several different styles: metal, plastic. I think metal's better. Sometimes the plastic, the powder tends to kind of stick to it because it gets some static electricity buildup. So I would say the aluminum ones are a better option. The next thing you're going to need is a good set of calipers. You can't reload without calipers. You're going to need to take several measurements throughout the reloading process. Mechanical or digital, it's all your preference. I do like the digital just because they're a lot quicker to zero out. You're gonna have them. You can get a good pair on Amazon for $25. That'll get you by for a while. And of course, you're gonna need case lube. I really like this Hornady One Shot because it's a dry lube, so you don't have to re-clean your brass afterwards. There's other type of case lubes. Just pick yourself up some One Shot. You won't regret it. You got to spray this on every time before you resize the shell, or it'll get stuck up in your die and it's just a pain in the butt. The next thing you're going to need to reload is data. You're going to need to know what primers to use, how far to trim back your brass, what powder to use, how much, all that information you're going to find in a reloading book. I recommend the Hornady book. There's Nosler, Sierra, basically whichever brand book you buy is going to have information for those bullets that they manufacture. You can also find information online at Hodgdon's website and a few other sources, but I recommend you get a good book. You just pull it up to whatever cartridge you're doing. Right here, this is 308 Winchester that's pulled open. It's going to have a list of all sorts of reloading data, the powder they used, how many grains, bullets they used, bullet weight, everything like that. You're going to have to get one. Okay, so I showed you all the tools you need to get started. Now I'm going to go over components with you. Okay guys, your list of components you're going to need to start reloading is actually pretty short. You're going to need brass for whatever specific caliper you want to reload. Primers, in this case large rifle primers. This will be what you'll use for most hunting rifle cartridges. If it's a Magnum, you'll need Magnum primers. Your reloading book will tell you what you need. You'll need bullets. I like these Hornady ELDXs. I use them for a couple calibers and they do a pretty good job. And your powder, can't go wrong with Hodgdon powder. IMR, Accurate, they're all good powders. And like I said, your book's going to give you a list of what powders you can use for what cartridge, and then you can kind of shop around and read up reviews on those. So that's your basic list of what you're going to need to get started reloading. It's going to probably cost you $600 is about the medium. I'd say you could go on the cheaper end, maybe get it all done for around $450, or you could pretty much spend unlimited amount of money on reloading. You know, some presses will cost thousands of dollars, some will cost around $100. You'll have to shop around. I just wanted to show you what you'd need. I'm not here to tell you what I think's better or worse. If you like this video, check out the next one I'm going to post. Is going to be reloading start to finish for beginners. I'm going to get real in depth with that video. All right, guys, thanks for watching.